Dobar dan svima, baš će se lijepo vidjeti u ovolikom broju. Nadam se nam je to najava post-covid razdoblja koje dolazi svojim toplim vremenom. Dame i gospodo, poštovani gosti i uzvanici, dragi prijatelji, svima vam želim dobar dan. Dobrodošli u ovu dvoranu s najljepšim pogledom u Zagrebu na naš grad. Dobrodošli u dvoranu Panorama hotela Westina na konferenciju Europski pristup migracijama i azilu na prekretnici. Taj dodatak je vrlo važan jer uistinu smo na svojevrsnoj prekretnici u trenutku da gledamo ove potresne snimke milijuna ljudi koji u 21. stoljeću u srcu Europe bježe od ratnih razaranja izazvanih ruskom agresijom na Ukrajinu. Međutim, to je samo jedan aspekt priče jer s dolaskom proljeća, s dolaskom toplog vremena opet će porasti pritisak migranata s Bliskog i Srednjeg istoka i Sjeverne Afrike koji će, kako se očekuje, zbog ovih ratnih zbivanja na istoku Europe ipak donekle modificirati svoje rute kojima pokušavaju doći do željenih odredišta. A što nas čeka u idućim mjesecima? Hoće li rat u Ukrajini brzo završiti mirovnim sporazumom, čemu se svi nadamo, ili će trajati godinama uz milijune novih izbjeglica? A do sada ih je prema nekim procjenama došlo 3.300.000. Što će se događati s valom migranata iz Sjeverne Afrike i Azije? Je li Europa spremna na sve te izbjegličke valove? Kako se ti ljudi integriraju u države u koje stignu? I kako Hrvatska štiti svoje granice kada će postati dio Schengena? Čitav niz pitanja postavlja se na početku ove konferencije. Svojim dolaskom su uveličali brojni visoki gosti i uzvanici. Prije svih pozdravljam saborske zastupnice i zastupnike koji su nam se danas pridružili. Dobrodošli. Pozdravljam i državnog tajnika Središnjeg državnog ureda za obnovu i stambeno zbrinjavanje Gordana Hanžeka. Dobar dan. S nama su i brojni gradonačelnici i načelnici hrvatskih općina, predstavnici diplomatskog konzularnog zbora, ali prije svega veliki pozdrav svima vama koji ste došli i koji ćete, nadam se, aktivno sudjelovati u ovoj raspravi, osobito u panel raspravi koja će uslijediti nakon pozdravnih govora. Inače, ova konferencija održava se u organizaciji zastupnika u Europskom parlamentu Karla Resslera i u suradnji s Europskim parlamentom. A na samom početku video porukom će nam se obratiti njegova čelnica, dame i gospodo, predsjednica Europskog parlamenta Roberte Metsole.
Dear Minister, dear colleagues, dear friends, it is a pleasure for me to join you in this conversation today on the European approach to migration and asylum as it reaches a crossroad. Dear Karlo, we have worked closely at the European Parliament on themes related to borders, Schengen and migration. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that you give me today to discuss these important matters further. Migration and crossroads are words that evoke provocative images to us today, as we see millions of Ukrainians flee their country under attack. It is now 23 days since Putin's Russia has invaded Ukraine. Shelling continues. Incessant Russian bombs have left Ukrainians subject to atrocious conditions, without water, power or heating. With the destruction of a maternity ward and children's hospital in Mariupol, we now know the horrifying nature of the threat that we face. This war has changed everything as we know it, and our response must be proportionate to a serious, real and growing threat to our collective security. Our response must address the reality of millions of Ukrainians now entering the European Union seeking protection. And in this regard, a lot of preparatory work to welcome them needs to be done. Firstly, the new Pact on Migration and Asylum proposals create the legal framework for an independent monitoring mechanism to ensure the respect for human rights. Any border monitoring mechanism should be independent and have sufficient resources to monitor all border-related operations while protecting fundamental rights. The protection of the Union's external border is our objective. Upholding fundamental rights is a priority. Secondly, it is important that we establish an independent mechanism to monitor the actions of police officers and border guards towards migrants. Croatia is the first member state to establish such an independent observation system. Thirdly, Croatia's accession to the Schengen area is not only important for Croatia, it is important for the European Union because it promotes the security of the whole Schengen area. Last December, the European Council concluded that Croatia had fulfilled the necessary conditions for application of all parts of the Schengen acquis. this should now allow for a swift decision on the lifting of internal border controls. We are one step away from the final decision for Croatia to become a fully fledged Schengen member. From the Parliament side, I can tell you, we will do our utmost to help Croatia achieve this long-standing and well-deserved goal.
O ovoj važnoj temi ima što reći Europska komisija, zato je vrijeme da čujemo i pozdravni govor potpredsjednika Europske komisije, povjerenika za europski način života, Margaritisa Schinasa.
Dear Davor, dear Karlo, thank you for inviting me to speak at this conference, and my apologies for not being able to make it in person to what, from a distance, looks a very interesting discussion. As I'm sure you understand, the tragic developments in Ukraine have caused all of us to adjust our work agendas and refocus our policy priorities. This is particularly true for our common work on migration and asylum. We are living in a new world with new challenges. Since at the Commission we put forward the pact for a new migration and asylum policy in September 2020, we have been confronted with new and diverse situations. We had to take quick measures to manage the instrumentalization of migrants by the Lukashenko regime, the events in the Greek-Turkish border in Evros, the situation in Afghanistan, and now we have war in Europe. At the moment, all eyes are glued to the situation at the borders with Ukraine. But a first conclusion I draw from this situation is that when Europe works as one, it can achieve great, decisive results. As you know, we have activated the temporary protection mechanism, providing a blanket protection guarantee of immediate and secure status across the European Union to all Ukrainian refugees, as well as giving them generous access to schools, work, healthcare, and housing. The number of people displaced from their homes and forced to flee Ukraine has now reached nearly 3 million, and the numbers are growing by the hour. Solidarity is the keystone for the EU as we meet the refugee challenge in the weeks and months to come. I, myself, together with Davor in Hungary, have witnessed in the last 3 weeks the most impressive solidarity I have ever seen. As tragic as the events that have led us here were, I remain proud and humbled by the unity and determination of our common response. Looking to the future, if we want to be stronger and able to respond effectively to these pressing challenges, we need to find a political consensus on the pact. This means finding agreement on reforming the existing asylum rules to create an efficient and humane European migration policy that will provide us with the more robust and modern tools. Some of the instruments launched as part of the pact are already demonstrating in practice their added value, such as the Migration Preparedness and Crisis Blueprint, a new procedural framework that ensures real-time information sharing between EU member states and all relevant actors. It is now time for contacts and cooperation at political level to intensify. Member states must be ready to compromise in order to meet each other and find a balance between solidarity and responsibility. We also need to solidify our common interest of free movement, and I very much welcome the wisdom of the Council's conclusion on Croatia's readiness to join Schengen. This now needs a rapid follow-up, because I want to leave it very clear that Croatia belongs to the Schengen family. Croatia already plays a significant role in the common management of the Union's external borders, something I recognize places a significant strain on your border police force. Despite operating in difficult circumstances at the border, I welcome Croatia's forthcoming approach to setting up an independent monitoring mechanism which will contribute effectively to the improvement of the situation at the external border in the interest of both the European Union and Croatia. And in a way, this agreement, this solution, prejudges or foreshadows the pact, making Croatia again ahead of the curve. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, we are dealing with an ever-evolving situation at our external borders, making it clear, now more than ever, why we need to act in unity and to set out a holistic, cohesive, comprehensive European approach to migration. Whilst we mobilize all our efforts to respond to the war in Ukraine, we cannot neglect the need to move the European Union away from fragmented ad hoc solutions and put in place a predictable and reliable migration management system. Dear friends, I wish you the best of luck in your discussions today, and thank you again for your commitment and dedication to dealing with these issues that are most crucial for the future of our societies and the future of our Union. Thank you.
Eto, dame i gospodo, čuli smo i povjerenika za europski način života, koji svi toliko želimo zaštititi, koji je vjerojatno najbolji na planetu, ne samo po životnom standardu kojeg imamo u Europi, nego i po demokratskim vrijednostima koje njeguje.